Hello, 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 hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, people. How's it going? Hopefully, you all have been enjoying GHW so far, and welcome back. Welcome back to part 3 and the final session of learning Python. I again hope that it has been a good one. Hey, 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 hi, hello. Okay, yeah, as I was saying, I hope it has been a good one for everyone right till now. And we have done loads. Okay, and now we are going to continue. And today, what are we going to do? We are going to learn about dictionaries, and we are also going to look into some more projects. And if time permits, we are also going to try and solve some lead code type questions. Not exactly lead code questions, but lead code type interview questions, which would be very simple. And we are all going to do it using Python, of course. Inventory management, yes, we are going to do that. So when we are going to learn dictionaries, we are going to do it via the whole inventory management and also employee management. So I have like two projects. We'll first do employee and then we'll do inventory. Okay, so I'm glad people remember. That is so good. Okay, let me wait for a couple of more seconds. Also, while everyone's here, and if you have not registered, let me post the link in the chat. I thought it was lowered. Let me take it a bit down. Yep, should that should be fine, I guess. Okay, yeah. Uh, please do register for the session if you haven't already. Would really appreciate it. Okay, yeah. So is that good? Perfect. Okay, so without any further ado, let's get started. I will go out of your hair right now so you can focus solely on the screen. And let's begin. So please open your REPLs from yesterday if you had made one. And if you were doing it locally, that's all fine as well. So once you have opened that, let me just click on this one and let's go. Okay, this is where we had stopped. Anyone who's joining me today for the first time, we have done a bunch of things, but I've also deleted a few things. So sadly, won't recover that. But meanwhile, you can go to this REPL, copy over whatever we have into a file or something, into a separate file. So what you can do is create a separate file. Let's say call it list code.py and just copy it over here, and that gets saved and that's gone, and you can delete everything in main.py. Okay, so once you have done that, let me know. One, even a person who just replies would be great enough for me to consider. Perfect. So we have the code in list underscore code.py. I am going to delete our main.py and we will start fresh. Now, to learn more about dictionaries, we first need to learn what is a dictionary and how does it help us, right? So, what is a dictionary? Uh, with so like we have seen this so many times. Python is very near to English language. So the dictionary also means the same thing as it does in English language, which is a key value pair. Okay, So you have a key and you have a value, and that the whole thing is a dictionary. Let's start creating a dictionary and looking into the values of it and also how it gets structured to understand more about what is dictionary. Uh, okay, perfect. So what are we going to do? Let's create an employee dictionary. So I'm going to add a comment using either a hash or you can use triple double quotes. Okay. So employee dictionary, let's call it employee underscore dict. So employee dictionary, to create an empty dictionary, if you remember in list, we used to do empty square brackets. Here you do empty curly brackets. Okay. So that's one difference how you can actually see visual difference between list and dictionary is one is built with square brackets, one is curly brackets. So if it comes into a difference between, you know what to add. Now how did we add things to list? If you remember, we were using append, and in dictionary one of the ways to add, is it similar to JS objects? Yes, it is. Okay, this is more similar to JS. Yep. So to add something, I can, like, I'll have to specify two things, of course, right? I have to specify the key and also the value. So I'll show you one way of how you can add something to a dictionary. So you can create a key. Let's say I do a square bracket 102, and that is equal to Bob. Okay. Now, square bracket. Have we seen this somewhere? We saw that actually in lists as well, right? When we had to take a value out of a list, we were able to do it by using the square bracket notation, right? Yep. So in this case, what are we doing? We are saying that, hey, take this employee dictionary, which is actually a dictionary, using a square bracket notation and saying at position 102, add Bob. Doesn't sound right. So, what this is doing is this 102 is a key and Bob is a value. So, let's print out our dictionary. And you remember the big run button. So, let's run that. And look, this is what it looks like. 102 and Bob. So this thing on the left hand side is the key, and this on the right hand side is the value. Now in list, we could have had duplicates. Remember yesterday we put apple twice in the list? In dictionary, can I try and do that? Let me see. I have printed employee dic there. Let me copy this line, paste it right here, and change this to, let's say, Charlie. And let's print the dictionary again. What's going to happen? 102 had Bob, now it has been replaced with Charlie. So remember, in dictionary, a key is supposed to be unique. Okay, you cannot overwrite a key with a different value. Yes. Yeah, value does not need to be. So I can do one more thing here. So 102 Bob, 103 again Bob, and let's run that, and that works. Okay, 102 Bob, and 102 and 103 both have Bob as the value. So keys must be unique. Now it does not need to be a number, of course, always. So example, I can have a first underscore name as a key and last underscore name as another key, and let's say the person's name is Bob GHW. Okay, let me clear this out and let's run this. So first name Bob, last name GHW. So this now in this case, first name here is the key, and here last name is a key. Bob and GHW are the values. So a key can be a number, an integer we have observed. It can be a string, that's fine. Can a key be a decimal number? Let's try that. 1.67 and 1.68. These are two keys and the value remains the same, let's say. And I don't need to print this in between. So we can print the last thing right here. Let's run this. And that is possible. What about Boolean values? Can keys be Boolean values? So the key is true and key is false. Yes, it is possible, right? So what have we learned? We have learned keys can now be integers, decimals, which is basically floats. It could be strings and it could be booleans. Will we get an error if we don't put key in quotes? Well, right now it's not in quotes because this is a recognized boolean value. But let's say you say first underscore name. Now Python is trying to understand what is this first underscore name. You have not defined a variable called as first underscore name. So what is this? So it needs to understand that, hey, this is a string, and then it will not give an error. So like, let's try this out. Name error. First name is not defined. So you need to tell it that, hey, this is a string. Okay. Or you can create a variable. Let's say first underscore name and give it a value of, let's say, 0. Now you can use it because there's a reference to that, oh, first name is a variable. So the key is supposed to be here 0. Look, 0 Bob. Got it? Okay. So we have seen there's one way to add something to a dictionary. Now, the homework or food for thought for you is, how do we, like, are there any other ways to add something to a dictionary? Also, let me initialize the dictionary or at this point. So key and colon is important. Okay, you cannot use equal to or anything, it's colon. So that's how it is represented, as you can see right here. So the homework is that you have to find out different ways, and you can post it in chat right now, but others can reply on it. But we'll also kind of move ahead because I really need to complete this. So adding more employees. Perfect. So the answer is yes, we can. Okay, which is really good. Yes, we can. We can complete, not complete it, sorry. We can add key value pairs to a dictionary in more ways. But I'm going to go with the basic one right now, which is cumbersome, no doubt. Okay, perfect. So this is our employee dictionary right now. Let me clear that out, and there we go. So there's someone named Alpha for some reason. I have no clue why, but there is. Using the update method. So there is an update method which exists on dictionary, and you can use that. Also, let's actually find out what methods exist in a dictionary. Now, yesterday, when we were doing this dir, we were trying to pass it something like the class name. Can you pass, let's say, employee dictionary and see what methods exist on it? Yes, you can. It seems like you can. Let me also copy paste this below. And can we see a list of methods that exist? Uh, Also, let me print some just so that it's easy to understand what to look at. Okay, so below this. So, yeah, it seems like you're getting the same thing. So, that's again one learning that you can actually ask, like run a dir or get a list of methods of a variable, because at the end of the day a variable is nothing but a type. Okay, it could be a string, it could be a list, it could be a dictionary, it could be a boolean. And dir of a type or a data structure returns you a list of methods that exist on it. So you don't really need to do this, you can always do it, run it on employee dict, like the variable I mean. So there is clear copy from keys, get items keys, pop item, set default, update, and values. So yes, there seems to be another way of using update method to add, but how does it work? What does it do? I will leave it on to you to figure it out. Okay, so what should we start with first? Pop. Okay, why pop? Because it seems like we have someone called as alpha. Doesn't fit this list of names that I have. So I'm going to pop that person out. So how do I do that? Employee dict dot pop. Okay. And if I pop this, do you think the last person is going to go? Let's try this. Yesterday, when we ran pop on a list, it removed the last item from the list. What happens here? Type error. Pop expected at least one argument, got zero. So in a dictionary, pop needs the key to pop out or remove, let's say. Okay, so it needs the key. It will not remove the last item from a dictionary. Question why? Okay, so employee dict dot pop, and now it needs the key to pop or remove. So now I'm going to run it again. So, oh, sorry, should have printed it. There we go. Now, there is a very interesting question. Can we give index to? Index. So, for us to get an index of a dictionary, what is the index? Before that, we need to find out, can we find the length of a dictionary? Let's try that out. So, length of the dictionary is 3. Okay. So, can I go like employee dictionary of, let's say, 2? Key error. Yes. So we actually have the answer in chat, but I wanted to show you. It says key error because an indexing, like the way we used to index something or take out the value from a particular index, was by doing the square bracket notation and providing the index. In this case, the indexes are nothing but the keys. So when you do something like this, like, oh, the length of the employee dictionary is 3, and I want something at position 2, it reads it as a key. It thinks like, oh, you want me to return you something at with the key of 2, not at position 2, but key 2, which is a problem. Okay, it will not, because this key does not exist. So we cannot do this indexing. And if we cannot do an indexing, that means pop does not know what index do you want to remove. And since pop does not know which index to remove, it needs the key that you want to remove. And someone also said in chat that, is it because the the dictionaries are not ordered? Yes, in a way, yes, because you don't have proper indexes to every key. The key is the index. Okay, and ordering is nothing but knowing at what index something resides. Perfect. Love the enthusiasm here right now. Let's move on. So now we have learned how to remove something, and we learned that indexing is an issue because the key acts as an index, which also means that, let's say, in our dictionary, we had a key called as first underscore name, and that was, let's say, beta. Does not fit the norm right now. Hmm. Okay, let's run this. There is some error here. Let's figure out the error. Oh, that's just pyrite. So that's not an error exactly. 104. And now if I want to remove, let's say, first name, this should work. There you go. So why pop doesn't remove last value as same in the list? Because pop does not know the index of the last value. In list, it knew the index of the last value. In this, pop does not know the index of the last value. Also, I know you can see these red squiggly lines below it. Yeah, that is not a best practice. It's just coming to that it's not a good practice to have something very different, but it works. Just wanted to let you know it works. It goes like, hey, initially you started using integer numbers and suddenly you are moving on to a string. That just looks weird. Okay, that's the PyLint or PyLance in this case, I think. Whatever they're using pyrite extended, which I think is part of PyLance. So there's a library which tells us you're doing it weird, don't do that please. But it works, was what I wanted to show you, that you can have different type of keys in the same dictionary. And also, if you have to pop out a particular key, you can just give the name of the key. Again, I hope this answers your question, like why pop does not remove the last value. Because, well, in this case the key is a dictionary and indexing is always integers. Okay, it's a whole number kind of thing. So that is why. Okay, let's not make this weird. I mean, to Pyland, Pylint slash Pylance slash Pyrite, whatever is being used. And let's move on to the next part. So the next part is going to be, how do I get a list of all the keys that exist in a dictionary? Let's do that. So print, let's say, keys. And you can do that by just doing employee dict dot keys. Okay. How do I get a list of all values in a dictionary? And you can do that by doing employee.values. Also, I'm going to add backslash n right here just so that it goes on to a next line. And there's one more thing which is called as items view. Now that is interesting. Why? Because it will return you something which just looks very unexpected. So keys, it returns the dictionary keys where you have this dict underscore keys written just in front of it, and inside it is a list of all the keys. Similarly, this returns all the values, which is a list of all the values, and this returns something very different, the dict dot items. So there is 101 Alice in one round bracket, 102 Bob, and 103 Charlie. Okay. Can I try and find the type of this? So let's say EX1 equals to this, and EX2 equals to, let's say, this thing, and EX3 equals to this thing. And let's try and print the type of ex1, then let's say print type of ex2, and let's try and print the type of ex3. So first one is class dict keys, the second one is class dict values, and the third one is class dict items. Does not help us as such. Okay, if dict items has something like a square bracket inside it, or okay, actually let's start with the dict keys. So dict keys looks like a square bracket, looks like a list. So can I take something out of that? So ex1, and I want something at position 1. Will I get that out from there? Dict keys object is not subscriptable. It means it looks like we will not exactly get that value. Interesting. We'll come back to it maybe later if we have time. But for now, there is a separate data type for these three things. Okay. There's dict keys as a data type, dict values as a data type, dict items as a data type. Sorry, quick question. Am I still audible? Seems like my internet dropped in between. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I don't know why, but yeah, just suddenly went weird. And I thought my internet dropped. Okay. Uh yeah, okay, there is so much. I should have looked at the charts. Tuples. Okay. Uh Items returns a tuple in a list. Now, what is a tuple? Uh I, I'm not sure if I'm going to cover it today, but for now, for people who don't know about it, just remember that what we saw. Okay, and there are three these different data types. Maybe if we get time, we will try and come back to it, uh, or maybe during the lead code questions, we'll try and see some more data types like sets and tuples. Okay, so I'm pretty sure we are going to see sets, but I'm not sure if we are going to see tuples today. Maybe yeah, let's see. Will not. I did not cover tuples yesterday. I was covering list and strings yesterday. Today we are going to cover dictionaries, build some projects around it, do some lead code kind of question, and then maybe we'll see sets. And if we have time, then we can see tuples. Okay. So we got key and value of everything. Uh, what else? Mm, copy, shallow copy. So shallow copy. Is there a part four? Sadly, no. There's no part four. Very sorry about that. Uh, so even in dictionary, you can create a shallow copy. So employee dict, let's say copy, and you can do employee. Oops. Oh, spelling mistake. Which is why I was like, where is the suggestion? So you can do something like dot copy. It will give you a shallow copy of it. So let me copy this and paste it right here. uh, let's say backslash n employee dict copy, and there we go. Should have been backslash n. Oh, screen is stuck. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. Is it my internet? I don't know. Visible now. Okay, perfect. So let's wait for a couple of seconds. Sorry about this. Yesterday it wasn't happening. I don't know what happened today. Okay, let's wait. Okay, I think everything should be fine right now. uh Employee dict copy, there you go. And what else? Let's move on. From keys. Yep. uh or actually before that, let's talk about the get. Okay, how do you get something from a dictionary? So let's say I want a employee name, and this is interesting. If you want to get something, all you had to do was initially, let's say I copy this, oops, and run this, comment this out, get value, right? Lieu of 102. So in this case, if I had to do that, this is what I would do. Get value of 102, and it returns me the value. So if I do employee dict square bracket 102, it returned me the value Bob. Okay, that's one way. There's one more thing that you can do. Oh, sorry, one last thing. Let's say if I want to get value of 106. Key error, 106 does not exist because, right? So there's a question. What if we create a copy of the dictionary? Will it still be shallow? We'll need to try it, but it should logically it should still be shallow, because think of it like what you're trying to copy. You're trying to copy the address of original data. So how many ever copies you create, it should logically be still a reference to the same data, right? Yeah, I think it should be still shallow. But there is a module in Python which is called as copy module. And if you use that, it has two things inside. Like there are two methods in that copy module, which is one is shallow copy and one is deep copy. And what is a module? We will come to it later. I really don't want to burden everyone with too much information. Okay, let's come back. So employee name, there is something called as dot get. Okay, now you if you use dot get, let's say, and say 102, and here I'm going to go do 10, or actually let's comment that out, and let's print backslash n employee name and the name that we get from here. Returns me Bob, which is fine. What if I try to tell it to return 106? It returns none. Now, this is the difference. Just right here, just in this get value, when we try to do 106, when we try to do 106, it returned an error saying, oh, this key is not found, key error. But in the case of get, it returns none. It's not an error, it just says the value is not found. Can we go one more step? I think we can. And let's try this. So there's one good thing about get. You can actually tell it to return a particular error, that, oh, I try to get a value, and if it is not found, please return employee not found. And there we go. Now if I tell it to return, let's say 102, that should return me Bob. Okay, so this is one good thing using the dot get. Similarly, even in pop you can do something like that. Okay, when we are doing this pop, let's say popped name is going to be employee dict dot pop and 101, sorry, 100 and let's say 6 or 7, and you can say employee not found, and let's print that out. So that should actually be, let's say, popped name right here and popped name right here, and I remove the backslash n. Oops, let me clear this, run this, and there we go. So in pop you can give it something like 107, like a key, and you can also define a return. Okay, you can tell it, uh so I don't understand this question right in chat. Does that mean get updates the value for 106 in dictionary? So shouldn't be, but let's try that. uh Try to get 106 right here, and let's also print the employee dictionary right after that. Okay, we'll answer the question. So employee not found, and this, so it does not update the dictionary, it's just saying that instead of giving you an error, I will return the specific error that you have asked me to. Okay, good question. Moving on, what else is there? Uh, there's one interesting thing called as pop item. Now that is interesting, and I'm going to show you one version of it. So pop item, I'm not going to provide any key value or any key. Okay, and let's print what happens. Mm, popped key value right here. Uh, this part and this part. So we saw that with pop, it did not have a key. That is why it was giving us an error. You all remember that, right? What happens with pop item? It should still give me an error. It doesn't. Interesting. It popped Charlie. Okay, let me try it again. It again popped Charlie. Okay. Also, let me print out my employee dictionary right here. Let me print employee dictionary right here. And also, let me run this whole thing again and print employee dictionary right here. Clear. Okay, let's run this. So there's employee dictionary. It popped Charlie, which was the last one. Then employee dictionary again, and it popped Bob, and now we have Alice. Okay, interesting. What if I do something like this? Clear, run it. So I tried. What did I try? I tried to put Alice first, then 104 alpha, then Bob, then Charlie. Then we removed 104. So, oh, we removed 104. Let me remove 101 there. So that's our initially. Then after removing 101, this is what we have. 104, 102, 103, 104, 102, 103. It removed Charlie, then it removed Bob. So do you think pop item will always remove the last item? That is a question. And why is it doing that? Okay. So the question is, why is it removing just the last item? Is that what it does? So pop item. Now, in this case, let's actually take help of this pop item. Remove and return a key value pair from the dictionary. Pairs are returned in LIFO order. What is LIFO order? It basically means last in is first out. So whatever was added to the last, okay. So if let's say Bob was the last person, that is the key of and value that will be removed first. So pop item goes from behind, or let's say whatever is added last. So that also means that after Charlie, if I end up adding someone right here, like 107 mlh, so that is what should be removed later, right? So it removed Bob, who was last, and then this is the new dictionary, and now it's going to remove 107 because that was the last in, and that is going to be the first out. So good thing that we have documentation, and it's easy to read, right? Remove and return a key value pair from dictionary. Pairs are returned in leaf order. If dictionary is empty, calling pop item raises a key error. Before 3.7, LIFO was not guaranteed. Okay, it would just return a random, as you can see the word right here. I don't know if it's visible. Should have increased the font. Where did pop item go? Yeah. So before 3.7, before Python 3.7, let's say you try this out in Python 3.6, this pop item, it would randomly remove something from from the dictionary. Okay, just randomly. So uh, now it is guaranteed that it will always return or remove something from the dictionary which was last added. Okay, coming back, let me remove all these things. So we learned about pop item, uh, also bunch of random prints, and don't need all of this. Perfect. So that's gone. What else? Update. Let's try the update now. Actually, so to update, what we have to do? Actually, we'll need to create a new dictionary. Let's say additional employees, and that is going to be a dictionary of, let's say, 107 is the key, and the value is going to be way, and 108, then comma. Just see the syntax right here, and David, and 109, uh, Christmas. Okay, anything. So now if I have this additional employees and I have this employee dict, right? I want to add my additional employees to my employee dict. In that case, we will use the dot update function, the update method, an update with additional employees. And let's print out our employee dictionary right here. Clear this, run it, and there we go. 104, 103, 107, 8, 9. So these are the people that we have left after we removed a bunch of them just above. So that's how you can use the update function or update method. Finally, I'm going to do the clear. So how do you clear something? So you do dot clear, and now if you print it, it should be empty. There you go. And now if you try to pop an item like this thing, as we read, it should give us a key error. Dictionary is empty. It cannot remove anything. Okay, so that was the basics of employee dictionary. And I think we understood quite a bunch of things like how does pop work, indexing, getting, pop items, update. Like these are the things that I can see right now. And along with that, we also had so many discussions. Now, there's a question, uh, can we add key in start using similar method as JS unshift method? So I can try pop item and see how it works if it removes the first item or last item. So shift unshift. Let me think. Does it work? Because I think there are a built-in types. I don't remember it from the top of my head, but let's see. Doesn't seem like it. I can see the word. I just don't. I'm not sure if that would work in Python. That is something that even I'll have to search about. So I am sorry, but I can't give an answer to that. Okay, moving on. So what's next? Now I'm going to copy this over. Should have done that yesterday as well. I don't know why I did not remember. And code dot py, copy this over here, and I'm going to delete it from main. Now we are going to create a project. Yep, we'll create a project. We will do a inventory management. Yes, we'll do an inventory management. We are going to use dictionary, but inside the dictionary, can you share the code? Yep, sure. Everything should be right here. Once I find my mouse. There you go. So if I go on incognito, open that quickly. So once it loads, hopefully it loads, you can find the code in list code and dict code. Okay. Yep. So no worries. You're welcome. Okay, let's create an inventory management tool. Now, in our case, I am going to, let me think. Can I use tuples in this? I guess so. Hmm. Okay, let's start with an inventory management project. Also, oh no, we don't need to take a break right now. Inventory. So we are going to use functions. Oh, why inventory management? Inventory. Let's create a dictionary of all the fruits that we have, and we'll also create a tuple of price and quantity and price. Okay, so apple, and it is, we have quantity of 10 and price per apple is, let's say, 1.5. 1.50. Yep. So what you see here, this is called as a tuple. It looks like a list but with round brackets. Now the difference between a list and a tuple that you can remember right now is that a list is mutable. We were able to add things to a list after it was created and remove. Yes, we are going to make inventory management right now, but I'm also going to talk about tuples. So this thing is a tuple. Okay. Okay. So this round bracket thing, this is a tuple. Now, the difference between a tuple and a list is that in a list, okay, things are mutable. So the data inside is mutable. Initially, when I create a tuple, I can initially when I create a list, I can add to a list, I can remove from a list, I can do so many things. Tuples are kind of immutable. Now what does that mean? Let's see. So there are these data structures. Ah, it's just so difficult right now to find this. I think there was something like, there we go. Tuple. Now, tuple, it's going to look like what we just saw right now. And inside a tuple, if you do something like this, it returns something like this. It looks very weird. You do something like this, it returns something like this. No argument is given this. Just looks very different. Why would you ever use a tuple? That is a question. Why would you? Why do you need to use a tuple? I'll wait for an answer. Why would you use a tuple? What was a problem with list because of which we would need to use a tuple? Tuples are immutable, yes, but why do we need immutability? What would be the use case, let's say? Okay, so the answers are that yes, we know don't need changing. What if we don't want to change? Whatever. Let's say, like, let's take a real world example right here. Uh, employees. Yep. Yes. So there is one answer with towards which I was going to go. If you remember from our uh, explanation of functions yesterday, so function inside a function, things are black box, right? And if a thing is a black box, it could do anything. What if we try to pass it a list and then it goes like, oh, you have a list of employee names. I'm going to be malicious and modify the second employee name. Okay. Modify the second employee name. So now you have, initially, let's say you had three employees, ABC. You pass it to a function and it modified your second employee name to be Z. So now you have three employees, AZC. Instead of that, if you pass it a tuple of ABC as the employee name and they try to modify it, it will raise an error. It will be like, no, you cannot do that. You cannot modify the employee name. So that is one of a use case, let's say, that you want a collection of elements to remain constant throughout the program. Okay, and you don't want it to get updated randomly. Now, the program that we are going to build, it would not exactly highlight the use case that much. Okay, so like in this case, you can actually kind of make it a list, and that would not make much of a difference. But just for understanding purpose, I think the employee example is good enough, that you can actually, why would you need a tuple when you want a list to not get modified during the execution? When you want a collection, sorry, not a list, when you want a collection to not get modified during execution or changed or maliciously updated, that's when you can use a tuple. So moving on, let's create a few more fruits and their quantity and price. Also, quick question for everyone. Is tuple ordered? Do you think a tuple is ordered? Also, there should be a comma right here. So do Google that. That is a tuple ordered always? And is a list ordered always? So yes, I'm assuming is for like a tuple is, let's say, ordered always. What about a list? Tuple is ordered. Okay. List, is list ordered? Okay, so a list is ordered, only set is unordered. Okay, we'll come to sets later. Yep. So yes, a list also seems to be ordered, and sets are unordered. Dictionary is unordered. Now, a fundamental question that comes to mind is, what is order and why is dictionary unordered? Like, if I try to create a dictionary and I go like, first I want key 101 with value, let's say Alice, then key 102, then that 103, yep, indexing. Okay, so order is nothing but whatever you inserted at a particular index, can it be retrieved from that particular index? And yes, we discussed so much about it. It's just good to go like, okay, do you remember that? Yes, indexing. Okay, we cannot get something from a particular position because that index does not exist in dictionary. So that means an index exists in tuple, index does not exist in sets. Is that what we are saying? That a set is unordered because there's no particular, we cannot retrieve an item from an index. Maybe that is true, maybe that is false. I don't know. I'm going to leave it on to you right now to actually go and find that. Is it the case that you cannot retrieve something from a set because it's not at a proper position? Does it not have an index? Okay, coming back to our inventory management, I think like I give too many questions. So let's say we'll first create our first function of display inventory. Now our display function is not going to take anything because it is just going to print out the inventory, right? So we can say print inventory, and after that, oh, I can just do a backslash n here. So if there's anything before that, that would go away. Now let's look at for loop. Yeah, I don't think yesterday we covered for loop. Let's look at for loop right now. So there's a answer here. Set has no index, which is why it is unordered. Okay. Others, please do find about it. Okay. So let's create a for loop. And do you remember the inventory.items? So inventory.items, it returned me something like a tuple, right? When we did an items, it created a list. Inside that there was a tuple of key comma value round brackets, and then comma, again key comma value in round brackets. That was how it looked like. So that means we can individually pick out the key and the value from the inventory.items. So this is a for loop. Okay. For, you are explaining then I need the key and value in inventory.items, not item, items, because that returns me two things. Let's also print that. So print the key. In the next line, we will print the value. And let's call this function. Okay, how do you call a function? You go like display inventory and just round brackets. That should call this function. Let's see if this runs. And this is what is returned: key, and then next line value. And this is the first key value pair, right here. And then it goes again to top of this, like on this line number 9. It takes out the second key value, prints them, goes again on top. And I just realized ORANGE, yes, orange, not or Jane, and gets the key and prints the value. So the for loop runs in a loop, goes down, comes back up, checks if there's another item, prints that, goes back up, checks if there's another item, prints that, goes back up, no item, and it ends automatically. So that's how the for loop is working. So for key comma value in inventory.items, we can get the key and the value. But in the value, now this is interesting. Okay. So let me also just quickly do one thing. The value is a tuple of two things, right? 10 comma 1.5, 5 comma 0.75, 3 comma 1.25. Can we break it down further? Yes, we can. I know it is unrealistic, but for the time being, let's consider that this is in euros, and then it wouldn't look so unrealistic because that is a price in euro. And also, we don't need to name it value, and also, we don't need to name it key. So we can say, like, this is my item, and then we had the quantity and price. So now let's print the item, let's print the quantity, and let's also print the price. Okay, so we can do something like this, and there we go. Oh, should have added item just right here. So inventory, item apple, quantity 10, price 1.5. So you can actually take out individual elements from this inventory. This is our key. Our value was a tuple. So we actually kind of broke it down again, that whatever is the value, like 10 should be assigned to quantity, 1.5 should be assigned to this variable called as price. So we are creating like three variables on the fly. When this is running, the variables are being created, values are being assigned to those variables, and they are being printed down here. So just wanted to let you know. Now, when we have this, we should also have a total cost, right? What is the total cost? So what is cost? Total cost is just basically quantity multiplied by price, right? So I can do quantity multiplied by price, and that returns me total cost. And now let's print it out. So when someone goes like show me the inventory or display the inventory, it should go like so. The item with quantity units at price each, and then we can go like, let's say, uh, I'm going to go with, let's say, dollar, not euros, because that I don't have that symbol on my keyboard. Total cost, total. So the sentence will read something like this: apple colon 10 units at $1.5 at dollar, let's say 1.5 each, and then this is the total cost, dollar something total. Okay, so this is what is going to be printed for every item. Now let's, I think that should give us all the items that are needed actually. Let me see if I can format this. Yep, formatted it nicely, and that is what gets printed. Now let's come out of this inventory and let's create a function to add, no, let's first create a function to sell an item. Also, I just realized it's been way over an hour. I think we can take a quick break right here, and we'll be back to continue building this inventory management system. Okay, so let's take a quick 5ish minutes break and be back, and see you after the quick break. Yeah, just realized that. Sorry about it. Hello, hello, hello. I'm back exactly on time. Had a good stretch, had some water, and back to complete the session. Okay, let's. Hopefully, everyone else is back. Yeah, quick shout out would be appreciated that yes, people are here. Anyone, everyone, anyone here? Okay, welcome. Perfect. So, good. Let's continue building. Let's write a function to sell an item, and then we'll write a function to add more items to our inventory. Okay, perfect. So, how do we sell an item? Also, let me get out your hair. There you go. Now you don't have you have full screen to focus on. And also, let me hide that. Yes. So, let's say sell item. Now, when you want to sell an item, you need to know what item to sell and the quantity of, like, how much do you want to sell, like what quantity. So, step one, whenever someone asks you to sell something, you will first, let's say, print. Okay, so I'm going to use f string and I'm going to go like attempting to sell. What are we trying to sell? Let's print that out. Item, or actually more like better English would be quantity item, right? Quantity and space item, or if it is a plural, goes like items, and that's good. So attempting to sell, let's say 10 apples, attempting to sell 25 bananas. So there you just saw we have only 5 bananas in stock and we are trying to sell 25, so that should not be possible. So we will write code, we'll do a conditional check whether the quantity that the person is asking, does that exist in our inventory. If it does, that's good. If it does not, then we need to do something about it. We need to tell the user that, oh, it does not exist. So let's go with the happy path. If item exists in inventory, and at the same time, so this and is very important, so it means that this has to be true. So item should exist in the inventory and the quantity should be less than or equal to. So you can sell, of course, like 10 apples, or you can sell 9 apples, that should be fine. You can sell 0 apple, that should be fine. You can you sell minus one apple? No, you can't. So we need to also write a check for that, like quantity is more than 0 and less than the inventory. But right now I'm going to go with the basic one. So if the quantity is less than or equal to the item, equal to the item of, but item will return me what? It will return me, let's say, like inventory of item. Inventory is a dictionary of a particular key will return me the value, right? Now in this value, I want the thing at 0th position, that is the quantity. Okay, if that happens, then like it is less. So like let's say 10 is less, greater than or equal to, greater than, let's say, 9, which is true. In that case, we are going to go back to our inventory, take the particular item like at that particular index, and then what are we going to do is from our inventory of that particular item, of that particular quantity, we will subtract our quantity. So user asks for 5 apples. Okay, so imagine this scenario. User asks for 5 apples. Step 1, check if we have apples in inventory. Yes, we have. And is 5 less than 10? Yes, it is. Then from the inventory, take out apples. Then take the quantity that exists in our inventory, subtract the quantity that user has asked for. So from 10, subtract 5. Okay. And also, since this is a tuple, I'm going to go like inventory of item of 1. If we don't do this, what happens? We'll need to check. I will show you what happens. There is a comment in the chat. I will come back to it quickly. Just let me complete this. So once this is done, let's say this is successful, then we will say sold 5 apples, or not apples, sorry, item here, but yeah, you get the idea, right? Now in this case, let me just remove this non-essential space right here. So if item in inventory and the quantity is less than what is supposed to be in our inventory, then in that case, sell the item. So reduce the quantity in our inventory and just print this. Okay. Else, if the item is does not exist, or we don't have the quantity or the stock, we can just do print f string, again backslash n, let's say, and this, and we can go like cannot sell the quantity that you have asked for of the items that you have asked for. Why? Because insufficient stock or item. Insufficient stock or item not found or not available. What is not found? Right? Not available. Okay, let's come back to the question in the chat. Wouldn't the second print statement in the first function give error while runtime? So you mean this display inventory function, this particular print statement will give an error. Any particular reason why you think that? Is it because it's like on a next line? If that is the case, then let's actually try it out. It should not. Okay. And the reason why it is on a next line is because the pylint slash pylans or whatever, they have a structure and they go like you cannot have more than 80 characters in one line, let's say. And that is why it pushes it to bottom. So as you can see right here, it pushed it to bottom. Line too long, 88 characters. Okay, so line too long, 88 characters. 88 characters the limit, it seems like. And they go like, please push it to the next line or something. Now in this case, it's going to give me an error because you're like, wait, what are you trying to do? So how do we resolve this? We will use something like escape characters, but ignoring it for now. Okay, so once that is done, let's move on to adding an item on inventory. Let's say the new stock came in today and I want to add items to inventory. Let's do that. Def add underscore item So we need three things to add to our inventory. We need the name of the item, of course. We need the quantity of how much you want to add and the price of the item. So now, if item already exists in the inventory, like it's possible that you have apples in inventory and tomorrow you get a new truckload of apples, right? It is quite possible. So if item exists in an inventory, I use the word exists. It does not exist in Python. So you just do in. If item in inventory, then in that case, take that item out of the inventory and add to its existing quantity. So in that case, we'll go like inventory of item at zeroth position. What is at zeroth position? The quantity, right? In that case, just add to that quantity. And what about the price? So the price, we are taking the price. Why are we taking the price? Well, because it is required, right, to increase for a new item, but it is not required for an old item. So what should I do in that case? Should I ignore it and go like, oh, the price will still be what it was, like this case, or do I need to do something there? Let's keep it in, like, keep it the way it is for now. Like we are saying that you got the item and it exists in inventory, apples exist in inventory, increase the quantity, but the price per apple will, let's say, remain same as it was. Now this was when the item existed in inventory. Else, if item does not exist in inventory, so in that case, we will create a new key value pair. How do you create a new key value pair? It's same as employee dict. So employee dict of 101 equals to the value. In our case, it is inventory of item equals to the value. The value is tuple of quantity, comma, price, right? And once that is done, once that is done, we can actually come out of our conditional statement. So I am in the line of else and I'm going to go like print, not price, print f string, and we will go like uh, let's say backslash n hash hash and plus plus added. So that was minus minus, should add hash hash as well. So minus minus sold, plus plus added quantity item, and maybe they are multiple, at whatever price each to inventory. Now there is one slight problem which we will come to again later. I know I keep saying later for so many things, but just excuse me for that. Uh, okay, now yesterday we had added the whole show item, like show commands function, and then we used to type it and stuff. Right now, I'm going to go the easy way out, but homework question for you kind of can be, can you add those commands from yesterday so that you ask user, what do you want to do? Do you want to buy an item, sell an item, whatever? So let's say we will sell item. Let's call our function of sell item. What does it take? It takes the item and quantity. So let's say apple and sell 3 apples. Then let's copy that over and apple again, but now try to sell 10 apples. Once you're done with that, display the inventory. Once that is done, let's add more apples. So this was more like sell. Let's say add. Now, what are we going to do? Add item, and we will say add apple, how much? 5 apples at 1.50. Once that is done, let's display the inventory again. Once that is done, we can add a new item, right? So add, I know for sure we don't have grapes. So add grapes, 8 grapes at $5. Wow, just 8 grapes. That's too less. 80 grapes at $5 sounds still about right, kind of. And let's finally display the inventory again. And that's when the program will automatically stop. So it is going to run on itself. It won't ask us for anything. It will display our inventory, then try to sell items, display inventory, try to add items, display inventory, add item, display inventory. That's it. Okay. Let's run this program. So this is our initial inventory. 10 units at $1.5 each, 15. Then this is 0.75, 1.25. Attempting to sell 3 apples, sold 3 apples. Attempting to sell 10 apples. Also, when it's saying attempting, that should also go in next line. Running it again, attempting to sell 3 apples, sold 3 apples. Attempting to sell 10 apples, cannot sell 10 apples. Insufficient stock or item not available. Okay, again, displaying the inventory. We now have, after selling these 3 apples, we have 7 at 1.5 each. Now let's add 5 apples. So now we have 7 plus 5, 12 at 1.5 each. Total $18. Added 80 grapes, which was not there, and there we go. Okay, 80 units of grapes at $5 each, $400 of grapes. That is just a lot. And that's where our program ends. Now, what are the problems that we have right now? Like, there are so many, but let's start with the very basic one. The first basic problem that we have in our code is, well, let's say the price of each apple. When you had initially bought these apples, it was like at $1.5 each. But with inflation, now you bought uh, 5 apples, but it is at $2. So in that case, the price should increase. Like, the average price for that should automatically increase for me, right? So that means when we are doing this add item, we need to do something here. So what do we need to do? We can do something like, uh, take this price. Okay, I'm going to add brackets around that. So inventory of item of 1, then add the new price that you are giving me, add the new price to it, and then average it out, basically divide it by 2. So that gives me a new average price. So just remember this old value. The old value was $18, right? Because everything was at 1.5 each. So the new apples, even though they were of, if they go off to $2, now in that case, we should have an average price here instead of keeping it to the same price of 1.5, even if we bought the new apples at $2. Second thing, and this is just me being very petty, uh, if you have a trailing 0, it seems that it is only displaying it like 1.5 instead of 1.50, right? So can we do something to kind of fix that? Does anyone know what can we do? Like, I want everything to be displayed at 2 digits, okay, instead of 1. So interestingly, in Python, you can do that by doing something like dot to f. So you are going to say that I need the values to be displayed to two floating points, yes, dot 2f, right? So this specifies that I need two decimal places to be displayed. So wherever we have price, we can explicitly tell it that, hey, display. So remember this colon, okay? See this colon, sorry. So there's a colon here which says the price colon display it to two decimal places. So now let's try and run this. So initially this, and now you have 1.50, and yep, this works. And then this added five apples at $2. So now the average price has increased from 1.5 to 1.75, and this is the total cost of our inventory, and everything else remains the same. So in that way, we created a inventory management. Okay, very easy, very simple. The homework is basically that can you make it similar to what we had yesterday? What did we have yesterday? We had a whole command line application where user would type an input and that would do something, and you could also type exit to exit from there, or quit. I don't remember what did we do exactly, but yeah, so that is now going to be your homework right there. That can you please do that? That's also a good learning opportunity. So you can do it, push it to your GitHub. Looks good. Uh, okay, so now I'm going to. But if we sell at 1.75 and buy it at 2, won't that be a loss? Well, we initially bought at 1.5. Okay. So right now, all 7 units are at one, like all 12 units, sorry, are at 1.75. It includes our previously, whatever, how much did we sell? We sold three or five out of 10 or whatever. So that was bought at 1.5. So we are actually doing a zero profit, zero loss business in general, overall, not going into a loss, but not into going into profit. Maybe something can be done to improve that. Okay, now I'm going to copy this, create a new file called as inventory management.py, paste it right there. So you can have access to the old code and you can modify it. So that is a lovely question. We all came to a consensus that tuples are immutable. Why are we able to create a new tuple and replace the price in an inventory item? Question for everyone. Why are we able to do that? How are we taking this tuple and modifying it? Now, question for you again, an answer slash a new question on it is, instead of this, like take this tuple of quantity and price, can you add something more to it? Like, can you add something like, what else does it have? Let's say a quality index, quality, that it is like 80% quality. Can you take this tuple of apple and can you try and modify it to add 80? Try that, and maybe that should give you an answer. Also, let's come back. Inventory item, when we did not do this. Like, what if we don't do this? What happens then? We also had to check that, right? Yeah. So when we try to sell the item, I'm saying that if item exists in inventory and quantity is less than the inventory item quantity, in that case, take the inventory and update the quantity. Okay. And I'm just telling it to update the quantity. So by default, this should remain as it is. What's happening here? What happened? That's a question. Okay, so here we are saying that now in the tuple there is only one item of 10, and when you attempt to sell, let's say, 3 apples, in that case you were able to. But when you attempt to sell 10 apples, it's taking the quantity, the price shouldn't matter. But something breaks somewhere. Like if I go back to what we had, let's see, I hope. Yeah, that works. But if I take out this item from here and just say that, oh, compare the quantity at 0th position, which is true. Quantity is still at 0th position. Why does that not work? What happened there? What happened to our tuple? Let's also print our, let's just print the inventory. Raw underscore inventory, and that is just our inventory. Clear that out and let's run this. So this is our raw inventory. Then you sold 3 apples, and while you were selling it, you told that at for the apples, instead of having a tuple, it now has only the quantity. So this is the new raw inventory. And you see the difference? It's saying that it just has one thing. Yeah, it actually converted it to a single integer. And that is why in next run, it wasn't able to take out the 0th position from there. Okay. So when you don't define the second variable right there, it tries to convert it to a single integer, which is one thing. But still, we haven't reached your answer of why were we able to modify it. I have given you the hint right here. Like, why are we able to modify things inside that tuple, and what happens when we don't define it as a tuple, like we don't provide the second value. And also think about what exactly it means to modify a tuple versus modifying the integer inside it. So once you have all of that, you'll definitely have the answer. Okay, we have like last kind of 10 minutes left. So now I am going to delete this for now, and let's do 2 questions. Now these are 2 questions that I incidentally actually got in an interview. And I love these questions. Like this was long back, but these questions have never left my mind. Okay, so I'm going to share those questions with you and we'll solve them together. So question number 1: remove duplicates from a list of integers. So we have been given an input list, which is a list of integers. It has, let's say, 1 2 2 1 2 2 3 7 4 4 7 8 9. Okay, so we have a list of integers and you have to remove the duplicates from this. How would you do that? And return a list. Okay, that is important. Okay, someone already gave the answer. But the way to think about it, it comes back to one of the data structures of Python, the sets. Also, the inventory management code is right here in inventory management, which is in my main repo. So set is, it's not sorted. So right now, as you can see, it is not sorted. So 1, 2, 3, 7, 4, 7, 8, 9. Let's say we also add 0 somewhere. Definitely not sorted. Okay. So one way to think about it is, oops, my mistake. So one way to think about it is that there is a data structure in Python which is called as set. We talked about it a bit when we were talking about tuples and all. So what is a set? So set is supposed to be always unique. Okay. So set is unique. Now, if you want to remove duplicates from a list, you can convert it to a set. So that's what we are going to do. So I'm going to say that there is, let's say, this unique L, which is nothing but a set of the initial list. Now if I print the unique L and also print the type of unique L, let's see what it gives us. So this is unique. It looks a bit like dictionary because of curly brackets, but as you can see, it returns me numbers which looks more or less in an order, and the class is set. What do you code is not available? Interesting. Let me take this main.py, open in incognito, let it load inventory management. There we go. Just give it a few refresh or something. That should work. Okay, so the class is set and it seems to be ordered and the numbers, and it is unique. But I want a list. So what you can do is take that and convert it to list by adding this list before that. So let's run this, and now it is class list and it has no duplicates. What about input str? So list of A, B, A, C, Z, K, Z, Y. Now, can we do that again? So input str, and let me remove this list part from here. Let's run this. So CBAYZK class set. And if I convert it to a list, so YBKZAC. Let me run all of that again. And this. So the ordering, we talked about it, right? Set is unordered. There is your proof that set is unordered. For numbers, interestingly, it seems that it will be in order, but when you try it with alphabets or something, that's when you actually begin seeing that it is unordered. And on every run, even though my list is unique, it is not in the same order as in the previous run. Okay. So that was one of the questions. How do you remove duplicates from a list of, not integers, let's say, from a list, let's say, from a list, you can do list of set of that thing. What if there is a word right here, like A, B, C, B, A, C, A, B, C, C, A, B, Z, K, Y, K, Z, Y, and Y, Z, K, and KZY. Let's run this. Looks unique to me. And we definitely had two KZYs and two ABCs. Okay. Now, what else? The other question that I have for you is, you have a list, find sum of two largest integers in a list. Okay. So the question is that, get two largest integers from a list and get me the sum of two largest integers in a list. So let's talk about this list only. And this is the input list. And you have to find the two largest integers first. And then you have to return the sum of those two largest integers. We just have like 3 minutes left. So anyone can quickly say their idea. Max and min function. Okay, but I want the two largest. I don't need a minimum. So we actually learned something for this. Sort and then add 0 and 1 index. Sort and then add. Yes, sort and return sum of last two digits. Yes, that is true. You can just sort it and return sum of last two digits. And also, yes, I think yesterday someone had asked me, like, what is the difference between sort and sorted? So you can do two things. You can do input underscore list dot sort. So you will sort it, but see that it is not assigned to a variable because it does not return a value. So instead, what you can do is, and it also modifies the original list. So input list will change. So instead, I can create a variable called as sorted list, and you can do something like sorted input list. So that case, in this way, you will have a new list created which will be sorted of input list, but input list will remain the same. It will not get modified. And what you can do is, largest 1 comma largest 2. Okay, you can create two variables in the same line, and that will, what will happen is, you will take the sorted list, so sorted list, and tell it that from the last two, so from behind, return me the two variables, and then just do a sum of largest 1 plus largest 2. Also, of course, you will add boundaries like what if there are less than two numbers and blah blah blah. But in our case, let me also print the sorted list. So 0 and this last two numbers are 8 and 9, so we get 17. So two interview questions that I had at one time, and I hope you learned about sets and you also learned about sort and sorted. So that is the end of my time actually. Any other questions about these sessions? Hopefully you will all liked it, you all learned something. It was from very basics. Maybe in next GHW I'll actually build some more projects. Okay. And also, all of this is going to go on my GitHub. So let me share the link to my GitHub with these projects. Also, it has some stuff missing. So please ignore that, but I'll add it at the end of the day. The title question you gave yesterday. Oh, yeah. I don't have time to go over the answer, but hopefully you would have found it. Okay. And yeah, there's the GitHub. And if there are no questions, I'm going to end this. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. And a bit of music before we end. Okay. Thanks a lot, everyone.